Hello, welcome back to my Stitchy Corner. I'm Jane, coming back for part 2 of my WIP Parade. Wanted to say before I go any further, thank you so much for all the support, all the comments, and the, frankly to me, quite awesome number of people who have subscribed following my full coverage WIP Parade last week. Taken aback and humbled by how many people seem to want to look at my projects and listen to me ramble on about them. So to anybody who has commented, subscribed, watched, done all the things, thank you so much. Today, as I said, is part 2 of WIP Parade. Whether it becomes part 2 of 2 or whether it becomes part 2 of 3, I think time will tell, depending on length of video and levels of energy. I've currently got, I sorted through my project yesterday. I've got 2 IKEA cubes full, one down here by my feet and one in the other room, of non-full coverage WIPs, plus one full coverage that I forgot to show on Thursday, so I'll pull that out and show that as part of this parade as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to work through the first cube. It's far too many of them. As I say, if I think I've got a problem with full coverage, then I've got an even bigger problem with non-full coverage. I don't think I'm quite in Jen the Caffeinated Crafter's territory of project numbers, but I'm certainly well on the way there. And again, just reinforces to me the need for getting control of this and actually making progress on what I've got. So I think what I'll do, as I say, I'll work through the first cube and I'll see where we get to, what time we've got. Will to continue with it, and we'll take it from there. I've got it's 1:30 now. I've got a couple of hours until I need to go and pick my son up after school, so let's see where we where we get to. Hopefully for most of this lot I do have cover pictures, but if I don't, I've got a tablet to the side of me where I can hopefully pull up pictures and and show you what the finished projects will look like. So let's give it a go. There's going to be a bit of unpacking, state that in advance. Hopefully zipping not too bad, but there is going to be a bit of unpacking and shuffling as I go, and I will take the time, as I say, to find projects online if I need to. And I'm just looking at the first one on the pile and knowing that I'm going to need to find that on my tablet. So without further ado, let's crack on and see what else I've got in these cubes. So project 1 I've got here, and I'm just looking to see if I can find, let's have a look on the website here for this, hoping my Wi-Fi holds up to holds up to the pressure here. So Saga, starting with a big one, Saga, one of the patterns by Long Dog Samplers, getting that in screen. That's the cover photo for this. This, if I recall, is a fairly meagre, pretty small start, and was one of those that I just wanted to make the point that I had made a start on it, and then crack on with a later date, which, and inevitably that later date doesn't always then happen. And I'm now wrangling fabric. This is stitched on 20 count Balana even weave, which is the fabric I use for most of my full coverage projects, and just one that I really like. So there we have it, just a couple of rows of stitches on there, with a parked thread. I'm using a variegated thread on this. It's Karen Water Lily's Far Horizons, and if I hold that up, let's see what that's a reasonably good representation of it on screen. Beautifully variegated. You see, it's a huge project. It's going to take me forever and a day to finish if I ever do. Let's see where we get to. So that's project 1. Pop that down there. Project 2 I have here is one of the Stony Creek series in the village. This one is, if I dig this out now, here and now, Spring in the Village by Stony Creek. cover sampler there. I do have all 4 of these floating around in these cubes somewhere. What I will say is these are in no particular order in terms of when they were started, designers or anything. Again, 20 count even weave, and that's the start that I've got on that one. So yeah, small start. Stitching on the flower cart, and then the trunk of the tree that goes up along from there. Love these patterns. Probably going to be saying this a few times. Well, we need to get back to some of these, and I do have a plan for how I'm going to try and bring more projects back into rotation over time. Sorry, you're losing me out of the camera. Next one I've got is, I believe this is a Luca S kit. Find the cover photo here. Yeah, Luca S Gold Collection, came as a kit. Cabin by the Lake. Enabled to buy this and start stitching on it by somebody on YouTube. I can't actually quite remember who it was, but yeah. So stitching this on the colourful fabric, which I'm not a huge fan of. No, actually, forgive me, I'm not stitching this on the colourful fabric because I didn't like the colourful fabric. So again, I've gone with my trusty 20 count. These are all full cross unless I say otherwise, so start on there for Cabin by the Lake. I love the colours on this. I think it's a really beautiful design. A lot of these will be either quite old start or started last year when I was going through my must start all things before I turned 50. Next up, we've got Strawberry Fields. This is by Victoria Sampler. That's the chart. Now, I don't know whether I've got... yes, I do have a cover photo for that. Strawberry Fields Farm. That's to say by Victoria Sampler. Stitched on a piece. I don't know for all of these. I don't necessarily know what the fabric is. This is a 28 count even weave. I know that much. Stitched 2/1. Beyond that, not sure. But I've got just the little strawberry cart and the dog in the middle there. Love these patterns, but I do find them quite daunting with the specialty stitches and everything that goes with that. So yeah, started that and it scared me slightly, so I kind of put it to one side for a while and haven't got back to it. Next up on the pile, I've got the ABC Tapestry by Rosewood Manor. It's that. Not necessarily something I would naturally go for, I have to say. Of quite a different pattern for me. Haven't stitched on this for ages, and I remember when I did start it finding the fabric slightly awkward. So this may be something that in time, and no rush on it, but that in time I might restart. I did have a slightly wacky idea with this, which I may well continue to do, of stitching each different letter of the alphabet in a water lily silk, which started with that letter. So you'll see here I've got this one, which is Appalachia. I don't know whether that's showing backwards to you. It might be Appalachia. So I was going to use that as it started with A for the A block of this, and you can see that's where I've got to on that. Need to serge the edges of this fabric, otherwise it's all going to fall apart on me. Again, it's a 28 count even weave. 2/2, exact colour, not sure, it's a kind of cream ivory colour. I need to get back to that, and I need very simply to answer the question of whether I like the fabric, whether I like the approach I'm taking, or do I want to restart it on a different piece of fabric. But that's a conversation for another day. Next up, we've got a Dimensions Gold Collection Balloon Glow. I have a love-hate relationship with Dimensions patterns. I love the pictures. I love the colouring in and everything that goes with it. But I do find them quite tricky to stitch on. This is barely a start. This is feeble, and I'm actually not even sure which way round it goes. I think it's that way. literally just a small handful of stitches in there. That's mildly embarrassing. I think we'll move on from that one swiftly as we can. I promise there are projects in here with significantly more progress in them than that one. Next up, we've got a project called Sleigh Bells Ring. It was from an episode of Cross Stitcher magazine. Sticking out the cover photo here. Cross Stitcher, January 2019. So fairly old. It's all the reindeer with Father Christmas in the middle. Again, not sure on the fabric on this, and it was a start a long time ago, and I don't know whether this is really my kind of thing anymore. It's stitched on a piece of 32 count dashing deer from Lakeside Needlecraft. If I did it again, I'd buy it in 28 count because 32 count is pushing it a little bit for my eyes these days. I'm not sure what you can see here. Let's try this a different way. Yeah, there we go. So I've got the start of Father Christmas there and the reindeer above him. Again, I'm going to go back to that and make a call on whether it's really me anymore. So that may end up being a UFO, that one. Next up, Fairy House from the Cottage Garden Samplings series a year or two back. That's the chart. Don't want to show you that. This was Fabulous House series number 10, the Fairy House. That's the cover picture for that. And this is one where I've got decent progress. Got a lot of progress in it last year before I got distracted and moved on to other things. But that's there. Pull it back so you can see, hoping you can see everything of that. It's on a 28 count 2 over 2, sorry. Sage green, I believe it was, a fabric, something like that I picked up from 123 Stitch. What's next? Mindfulness, a stitch along from years back. From Lakeside, and I can't remember the design. I've got a bucket load of paperwork for it here. Have I actually got a cover photo for it? Yes, I do. Mindfulness, an exclusive stitch along design at the time by Ursula Michael. That's not the full piece, clearly. It's got a bit missing from a bit part of the stitch along that clearly haven't been released at the time. Again, 28 count 2 over 2, a piece of Cafe au Lait even weave from Lakeside. Again, got a decent start on that. You won't see many stitch alongs in my project. I love the idea of them. The reality of them doesn't always work out for me. I have realised and I've recognised about myself that I need to know what a project is going to look like. Buying something blind isn't the way I need to go. I've bought too many stitch alongs where I've thought after 1 or 2 installments that I really don't like them particularly, don't want to be working on them. So, but that was one of them. Next up, we've got the Bumblebee Bouquet from Carolyn Manning, and I think I'm going to have to see if I can find this on the tablet for you, so bear with me whilst I Bumblebee, bear with me whilst I find you a cover photo of that. Loading very slowly, but there we go. If you can see that on there, it's not a brilliant photo of it. I'm doing this again, 28 count even weave 2 over 2. Not sure of the colour on this. I love it as a colour, but I'm not sure what it's called. Got a good amount of progress on this as well. Stand up, get that in shot for you. Gorgeous. I love the colours, I love the fabric, I love everything about it. It's a slightly fiddly stitch because you are constantly moving around and changing colours, but I've got a lot of time and respect for the Carolyn Manning designs, and that one is no exception. Right, what have we got? Next, that's a random empty folder. Pandemic from Long Dog Samplers, picked up as the freebie when back in 2020 when we were in the midst of the pandemic. And Jules, I believe her name is, released this at the time free of charge on the Long Dog site. Picked this up then. Again, as I say, 28 count. A lot of my stuff these days, non-full coverage, is on 28 count. This is a vast piece of material. Now I'm doing this in a sparkly red, deep red DMC, and then a grey DMC for the accented animals. You can see it's what I've done there. You probably can't see the sparkle of the thread, unfortunately, but it does have a sparkly edge to it. It's not the nicest thread to stitch with, hence why I've not got very far with it, but I do like the Long Dog Samplers. Let's have a look. I've got the thread in here actually. It is C814, and the grey that I'm using for it is DMC 003. So that's the sparkly thread there. You can possibly see a little bit of the sparkle there in the light. So that's that one. Another of the village series from Stony Creek. Let's pop that out. Summer in the Village, continuing the theme through the seasons. That's the cover for that. I bought all of these pretty much at the same time and started them all just to get them started. It's a far bigger piece of material than it needs. Got a decent amount of a start on this. So again, the truck at the far corner, and I've got the words in along the bottom there with the border. Sorry, it's not showing brilliantly well. I think of the 4 village patterns, that's the one that's got the most progress on it. 28 counts, antique white, as many of these things are. What have we got next? Another Dimensions, Butterfly Forest, quite possibly my oldest WIP, and a contender to be moved on if I can't get back into it. I've got a lot of progress on it. When I started it back in 2018, 2019, I really flew on it and got a lot of progress, and every time I've picked it up since, I've really struggled with it. I'm not sure why. So it's probably going to come out in rotation at some point later in the year, and I'll stitch on it for a week or so and see how I get on with it. You'll see there's a lot done, and it's a lovely pattern. I just can't quite get into stitching it. It would be a shame to drop it because there is a lot of progress, a lot of time and effort put into it. But with the numbers I'm talking about, I don't know that necessarily keeping projects that I'm not loving isn't necessarily the best way to go. Tulip House, technically a full coverage as I think in some respects, though I didn't put it on in my full coverage WIP Parade earlier in the season. Got this one off Etsy. See what you're seeing. Again, gorgeous colours. Like I said to you in my full coverage WIP Parade, I'm very much a strong, bright colours stitcher. I struggle with the more muted colours and the creams and whites and everything. Yes, the bane of my life. I decided I needed, because everybody seemed to have them, I decided I needed a chatelaine in my life. And I love this pattern, but it may simply be a bit too much for me. This is try and find it on the website. It might be quicker and less rustly for you to listen to. This isn't working very well. Sorry, bear with me a second. Actually show me a picture of it. There we go. Holland Mandala by Chatelaine, one of Martina's designs. Absolutely gorgeous, and absolutely terrifying in equal measure. So I've started in the middle, as everybody says you should. I'm just at this point primarily doing the cross stitch element of it. I'm not going to tackle the beads until later, and I'm probably not going to tackle the specialty stitches until later when I'm feeling a lot braver. That's what I've got done on it so far. It's beautiful. I love it, but it's big and it's frightening, and I need to have time and headspace to be able to stitch on it, and I don't always have that by the end of the day when I'm sitting down to stitch for an hour or so in the evenings. Headspace and energy isn't always in high supply. Next up, a relatively new one, Dragon Studies by Luca S. This came out last year, and I saw it and fell in love with it. Do I have the cover photo here without too much rustling? There we go. Yeah, sorry. Improve at this as I go on. There we go. Cover stitch, Letty stitch, sorry, not Luca S. Dragon Studies. Saw it, fell in love with it, had to have it. Story of my life, really. Stitching this on Saga, the Saga app, just to try something different. Got that as a start. Top left corner. Let's pull that down there because that's going to be noisy to put away. Another biggish one here. Victorian Promenade, Randriana. Seen quite a few people stitching this. Huge. Stitching this on a piece of 20 count easy grid that I had left over from a full coverage that I was going to stitch on it and then didn't. Tiny, fairly embarrassing start on this again, just a little bit of blue sky. It's showing through a bit, isn't it? There's a bit of glare on the back of that. Let's try and improve that. Yeah, tiny little blue sky there, top left hand corner. There's an absolute pile of projects down here. This is the first ever Mirabilia that I started, Garden Prelude. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the Mirabilia pieces. You'll see over time as I start things, I do have a couple of others, but not that many of them really excite me. But I did love this when it came out. And again, got decent progress on this one. 28 count, 2 over 2. Got a lot of the dress done. And yet still an awful lot of the dress still to do. So that's that one. I think I was a little mean when I cut the material for this, and I think she's going to fit at the bottom, but not by much. But we'll deal with that problem when we get to it, as and when I get down there. What's this? This hasn't been stitched on forever and a day. Tiny stockings. It was a Bucilla kit. Purchased because I thought I might go down this route with the stockings for an advent calendar for my youngest, for my 3-year-old. Bought it when he was quite young. I've since found a different option for his advent calendar, and therefore this is all I've got on one of the stitches. I'm not even sure which stocking that is. 4, 8, 12. I think that might be day 13. But as I say, I've since found a pattern that I prefer for that to do his advent calendar, so that may end up not getting completed anytime soon. Second smaller chatelaine, Cats, Mice and Moon. I've got a picture. Have I got a picture anywhere? No, in a word, not that isn't a chart. Let's see if I can find it on here. It's a Halloween piece, not a huge Halloween stitcher, but I think from my previous video I said I do like cats, so I kind of grabbed hold of it on that basis. It's a 28 count even weave in the colour Carnelian, again Lakeside exclusive. And a little bit there, a little bit of yellow, and then black of one of the cats started there. So I think I might just have shown that to you sideways, apologies. Yeah, that makes more sense. Head and shoulders of one of the cats, and then a little bit of the moon above. So that's that one. It's got, again, lots of sparkly thread in it and different stitches, and it's really slightly scary. This is, back in 2024 I received the Cotton and Twine subscription boxes for the year. Haven't subscribed again, but again, not unlike the whole stitch along thought, I like to know what it is that I'm getting into before I commit to it. And I didn't realise at the time that you could opt out of some of the boxes if they weren't grabbing you. So this is from the January 2024 box, Welcome to Our Home. This is stitched on a piece of 14 count Ada. It's not the best piece of material I've ever had. It's still in the hoop, but effectively there we go. There's the decent chunk of the word home, and some of the flowers and some of the back stitch around it. Not one that calls to me. Shame in a way, because it's small and it could be finished fairly quickly if I put my mind to it, but it's not really shouting to me at the moment. Next up, we've got Joan Elliott and her Christmas Eve sampler. Love these with the all black and the accents of gold. Again, stitched on a piece of 28 count even weave. Decent start on this. Got a good chunk of the top, and then coming down into the numbers and the Christmas tree below. Easy stitching, nice fabric to stitch on, and because it is, to all intents and purposes, it's all black, it's really easy. Kind of thing I tend to take away with it on holiday with us if I just want something straightforward to pick up in the evenings that I don't have to think about, and also that I don't have to carry loads of different thread colours with me. Twilight Bridge, I think, by Dimensions. One of the things I struggle with Dimensions patterns also is the fabric, and I have, with the more recent ones that I've started using my own fabric. Love this as a picture. I say that about a lot of them. I mean, I guess I wouldn't buy them if I didn't love them, but hey, I know a lot of floss tubers say that. Did I restart this? I'm not sure. Not even sure which way up this is. Teeny tiny start. I will do this. I will complete this project. I will work on it, but I might switch it out to a piece of even weave that I'm more comfortable stitching on. Moving reasonably swiftly to the bottom of this cube, so we've got a chance to do both boxes today. Again, Dimensions, Victorian Charm. This is an old one that I've had for a long time. Started a good while ago. This almost certainly will be a new start, because what I have realised is that I really don't like stitching on dark fabric. Again, it's barely worth getting excited about, but there we go. Just a little bit of the middle of the house. But as I say, I will find myself a piece of fabric that I like for that and restart it on there, because it's a lovely pattern. I just struggle with the fabric on it. Elephant Parade. Now, this came out of a magazine, so I may genuinely not have a picture of this, not sure. This isn't all of it, but it gives you a good idea. Bright, vibrant colours, lovely piece. Can't remember whether I said in my full coverage WIP Parade, my eldest loves elephants, has done from an early age. So I've started this with him in mind for that. It's lovely colours up the side. It's on a piece of opalescent 14 count Ada. It's a bit scratchy, slightly awkward to stitch on, particularly again, as I say, in the evenings, which is when I tend to get most of my stitching done. So we'll see how we get on with that one. And we are actually down to the last one of these, so 30 minutes in. This is the last one in the cube, so that's not bad going. Luca S chart. Fell in love with this, been obsessed with this for ages. Cozy fireplace. I love Christmas, love animals, love everything about it. So that was that. Now I did switch out the kit fabric for this and put it onto a piece of my own. But again, it was in my crazy period last year where I was just starting everything, saying I'd get back to everything, and of course you never do, because there's too many things to get back to. So that's a fairly mediocre start as well. So that is cube 1, which hasn't taken me as long as I thought it might. So I think what I'll do, I'm going to pause this video for a moment, reload this cube up, and go and get the second one, and we'll rattle through these. And then at the end of that, I can do the second cube. I can then, at the end of that, show you the 3 projects that are on my current focus pieces that I'm really targeting. And also possibly do a wheel spin for one other project to bring into that focus, and I'll get you guys involved in that, because I might do a spin of 2 or 3 full coverage pieces and get you guys to vote on which one I should bring into the mix next. But we'll talk about that in a moment, so be back in a sec. Okay, so back, cube 2. First up, I've got what was a subscription from Shannon Christine Designs a number of years ago. Found a picture of it here on 123 Stitch. I'm stitching the top one, which was the Holly Jolly Christmas design. Again, piece of random, I think 14 count Ada. I really wasn't tracking materials at that point. And that's where I've got to on that one. It would be a nice, easy, quick finish if I put my mind to it on that. Again, how many times are we going to say that? Woodland Sal. Again, a stitch along that I got from Lakeside Needlecraft, designed for Lakeside by Doreen Jones. That was part 1 of it. This was the barn owl. I don't know whether I've got a full picture of the full piece here. I'm not sure I have. No, I've only got the barn owl in here, which is as far as I got with stitching it. Stitched on a piece of 28 count again, 28 count even weave. Woodland they got from Lakeside, and there's the owl. Again, some of my comment on stitch alongs. Would I pick this again now if I saw it? Probably not. It's very sweet. It's a lovely pattern. It's not necessarily what I would go for anymore. But we are where we are. Christmas in London, second Mirabilia. I need to find you a picture for that. This is again one that I've moved on to 20 count 20 count Balana even weave. Really is my fabric of choice for lots of what I stitch these days. Beautiful, amazing colours, very detailed, very intricate. Again, probably quite a daunting piece from my point of view. Lots of beads in it, lots of pretty threads. You know, started last year. Just got a stretch of that done along the top, and then put away for another day. Sorry, I am putting stuff away as best I can, so they don't end up completely surrounded in pieces of fabric and pictures. Part 3 of the Stony Creek Village set series, Autumn in the Village. Again, stitched on 28 count 2 over 2. Fairly small start on this. Went all the way along the bottom. Took a different approach on this one. Started at the bottom and worked all the way along to get all the wording in. So we'll need to start to work up and build it, bring in some of the houses for that next time it comes out. Goes down there. Another Carolyn Manning, Spooktacular. Again, Halloween piece. I can say I'm not a massive Halloween fan at all, but it's got cats in it and it's got lots of bright colours. Let's see if I can find that on Carolyn Manning. Spooktacular. See if I can find a picture of that. Yeah, it's one of her Garden Labyrinth designs. Nice colours, cats in each of the corners, all of that kind of thing. So good fun, more fun Halloween, which is where I'm more inclined to go on this. There's that. So moved along, got a good chunk of the border in, and some of the first house and the moon that goes with that. My long dog samplers that certainly has the most progress on it. New Normal. Just find that on here for a cover picture. Again, if I recall, I think this was brought out during the time of the pandemic in 2020 with the circles. I think it was meant to represent the what was the word? The bubbles that people were allowed to create during the worst of the pandemic. 28 count, 2 over 2. Got good progress on that so far. Again, I'm stitching it in a variegated threads. This I got from Silks For You over in Australia, and it's really lovely. It's PR 145. It's wrapped up in the plastic here, but if I just unravel that, it's gorgeous combinations of blues and teals and purples. Absolutely lovely. Again, it's a good one to take away if we're going on holiday and I don't want to be dragging loads of different threads around. I can just pick it up in the evening when the kids are in bed and stitch on it for a couple of hours. Dragons was a sal that I bought from Climbing Goat Designs. She's done a few of these types reasonably. It was the Dragons a Field Guide. I only got the cover sheet for part 1 of it, so I never got around to printing the rest of it off. Stitched on a, for me, very out there piece of fabric, but it really is fun. I think it was the recommended fabric actually, from when the stitch along came out. You see I've got a decent chunk of the first dragon in and the dragon's title across the top. But yeah, being stitch alongs, I think a lot of floss tubers refer to them as start alongs, and that they may start them at the same time as everybody else, but they certainly don't keep up with them. Next up, I've got the Frosty Forest, which is a series of pieces from Country Cottage Needleworks. Got all the different designs for them. I don't know whether I'm going to do it as one piece or if I'm going to do these as lots of individual pieces. That's where I've got to so far on that, and the cover photo for that is the snowy reindeer. Sorry, a bit of glare there. Snowy reindeer for that. So yeah, started last year. You will notice a theme here with all of this. So that's that. Random piece of paper. Lakeside Village, Dimensions Gold collection, massively enabled here by Laura. I Stitch Birds, saw her stitching this last year, and decided that was one that had to come into my collection. Again, I have, this point I knew enough with the Dimensions kits that I've swapped out the fabric to 20 count even wave, and I've worked very methodically there, strangely methodically for me, down the left hand column of the of the pattern, just working down 10 by 10, each 10 by 10 block. Every time I watch Laura's videos and she shows it, I think I must get back to that one. So we have here Dimensions Gold Collection Petites, the coffee shop and cafe. Started this on holiday the year before last in Denmark, going to Legoland with the boys. Started it in a hotel. The lighting was terrible. I put in a few black stitches and then realised that I just couldn't see enough of what I was doing, and put it to one side. And it's a small project, which, as you're probably noticing with me, and they're not necessarily the ones I gravitate to most. Last but not least, Stony Creek, Winter in the Village, fourth of those. Again, I said Summer in the Village had got good progress, but actually so has this. I've almost got a house. I've almost got a building in on this one. It's the, move the thread out of the way, it's the school building. So yeah, decent progress on that. 28 count 2/2. As is my my preference on these things. Getting there. Really do feel slightly like Jen the Caffeinated Crafter with all these. Good grief. Gaia, Earth Goddess. One of the few Bella Filipina designs that I have. Again, not unlike the Mirabilias. I'm not a huge fan of many of them, but I really loved this one. Apologies for the glare. There we go. Just love the colours and the wild animals and everything surrounding her and the birds. Got a decent start on this last year. Started it at the top and working down, so she's looking extremely freaky there because she hasn't actually got a face or eyes or anything like that. Really do need to get back to her and give her a face, otherwise she'll be terrifying for forevermore. So not a huge fan of any of the Bella Filipina patterns, but that one did stand out to me. Winter Cat Sampler. Trying to think where these come from. Designer is Nancy Rossi. Cooler Design Studios, that's it. It's that. Again, cats. What could possibly be wrong with that? It's got lots of quarter stitches and half stitches in it and all of that kind of thing, and I have learnt over the years that I'm not a huge fan, but we'll try and get back to it at some point because they are very pretty. Probably need to watch some YouTube tutorials on how to actually do fractional stitches, because I think I'm always generally just winging the fractionals and not always doing a very good job of it. Singing Robins, a magic needle kit that I started last year. I've seen this a few times recently, actually. Really pretty. Never particularly thought I was a flowers kind of botanical stitcher, but saw this and loved it. And actually alongside this and the likes of Tulip House, really good fun. I've wandered all over this, as you can see. I've got a good chunk of the robin there come across. I've got a bumblebee here. You can see nothing's backstitched yet, and then I've got a good chunk of the flowers on that far side. So good progress made on there. That is stitched on the kit fabric, which I think was just a standard 14 count Ada, if I recall, stitched with all kit fabric and floss and everything. Dimensions Japanese Garden, hopefully stuck right on the front of the folder. I think this is another that I will probably restart on nicer fabric. I've got a bit of a start on it. Like I say, not a huge fan of the fabric, so we'll probably restart that one at some point in the future. I've got quite a few Dimensions kits hanging around, as you can see. Schoolhouse, which I think is a Mill Hill kit. Yeah, the Mill Hill buttons and beads kit. Beads falling out. That's that. Those in before they escape. And I've got a door. There you go. Put my hand behind that. I've got a door and a bit of the frame around it. Mill Hills are again something that if I actually picked up and stitched on, I could clear down fairly quickly, and that is part of my thinking going forward, to target some of my small stuff, just to clear some of them out and get some finishes. Now, this is the advent calendar design that I'm actually now going with from a 3-year-old, and I don't think I've got a picture of this. Just a small start again on the first one. What I did with these, I did a similar pattern for an advent calendar for my eldest, and I did them all individually and then cut them out and got them turned into little pockets that you can put tickets or little chocolates in. So I'm planning on doing the same with that for my youngest. Probably not for Christmas this year. There's another plan for him for Christmas this year, but probably for Christmas next year when he'll be 4. And a little bit more understanding of what's going on. If I could finish it for this year, great, but I'm not pushing myself. Silver Creek Samplers Christmas list. It's that. Seen that around a few times. Love it. It's 32 count even weave, which means I have to have all the good lighting and good eyesight and good energy levels for that. But I do like it. I look at that piece of fabric sometimes and I wonder if it's big enough. I've had it started quite some time ago. So I probably will, before I stitch on that any further, remeasure it and just check that it's all going to fit, because that would be unfortunate. It is another one, there's an outside chance I will start it again on 28 count. Leave that till last because that's monstrously huge. Bookseller here, another one by Mill Hill Buttons and Beads, part of the Christmas Village series. It's that one. Stitching this again on perforated paper that comes with it, and that's that. So again, you've got a door and a fair chunk of the building around it. That's just an empty folder, that's not anything of use. Santa's North Pole by Galendon Place. Started this last year. Again, Christmas. You'll see a number of themes with me as I go through all of these. Beautiful piece of fabric to look at. Hard work for me to stitch on. I'm not quite sure why. Not even sure which way up this is. I think it's this way. Teeny tiny... I'm really not sure. Teeny tiny start, hardly worthy of showing, and I may switch it out because although I love the fabric, I think it was the recommended one on the chart. Shall I look at that? No, it wasn't. Not sure where I got that from. So found it quite hard to stitch on. Need to do it. We've improved the lighting in our front room where I stitch somewhat since I started a lot of these, so I will pick it up with the new and improved lighting and see if that works any better. Otherwise I will restart it. Dimensions Gold Collection Winter's Hush. Again, lovely Christmassy, wintry scene. Started this one on the kit fabric, and I've got far enough on this that I probably will continue with it. I've rambled all over the place on it. I've got some of the trees at the top, I've got the cabin, and then if you come across the other side, I've gone across the top on the sky. Started on the tree down the other side, so decent amount done on that. This is again fairly outlandish piece of fabric for my from my point of view. Not the kind of thing I would normally stitch on, but hey, one has to be brave sometimes. This is Long Dog Samplers Merry-Go-Rounds, which I'll find a picture of on screen for you. That's that one, merry-go-rounds with all the letters of the alphabet. I'm stitching it, I don't know the name of the fabric, I'm stitching it on a fairly outrageous piece of pink, which I say is really not me. It's in my pattern keeper, I hope it is, because I'm not sure what colours the floss colours are. You can tell I've not stitched on this in a long time. I'll hold that up there. See, I'm doing the letters in a shade of blue, and then greys for everything else in between. So fairly outlandish piece of material from my point of view, but so you've got to try these things sometimes, I figured. There's a label on it. It's a cotton and twine, again from the subscription box in 2024. This was the April 24. Bee Creative, lovely with the bees all around it and the flowers. Again, I think I started this the year before last in Denmark, but again the lighting wasn't great. You can see there's a threaded needle on it. I just gave up midway through. A decent start on that. Again, could be finished fairly quickly if I put my mind to it. Pole Stitches designs A Year of Silhouettes from Joan Elliott. I've got the cover photos in here. Try not to rustle this too much. There's an awful lot of black DMC in there. There we go. Year of Silhouettes by Joan Elliott, again one of her all black pieces. Awful lot of DMC 310, which Pole Stitches sent me when they sent it to me as a kit. Should probably put that in my DMC thread supplies, to be honest, and just build it in for everything else. Not much of a start, just started along the top border. Away later. That gets in there, not far to go now. The only other Bella Filipina that I've ever liked, Hollyberry Pixie. It was a birthday start a couple of years ago, I think. On a piece of even weave. Again, what is it? There we go, 28 count amethyst cloud, started in the middle. Fairly feeble starting effort again. A piece of thread hanging from it. Sorry, I'm manoeuvring this not very well. Yeah, barely worth showing. Again, lots of beads and sparkly stuff on that. Santa's Village, again another of the Country Cottage Needleworks series. That's one of them. Stitching this on a piece of 28 count. To be honest, love it as a pattern. I hate stitching white, I really do. I'm on to the second house with this, but it's got so much snow along the bottom and everything that it's fairly slow going. We should get back to it and target maybe just finishing the next house. It has a lot of white snowflakes randomly dotted around the buildings as well, which look great, but from my point of view are a bit of a nightmare to stitch. And I think it's that's put me off it as a project. This looks like another Mill Hill. Yeah, Mill Hill buttons and beads, snow globe. All the blues, take the glare out of that. blues, and again lots of white, stitched on the perforated paper that came with it. Decent start on that. Not a huge fan of stitching on perforated paper, hence I suspect why that hasn't come back out that often. Just pull it out and finish it, I guess, one day. What the world is this? It's just a piece of fabric without a project on it. Swan Lake, I think this is a piece I got off Etsy. I'm not going to talk too much about where I got it from because I'm not actually sure whether it's licensed. Again, quite a while back when I was fairly new to all of this. So I need to track down if it's licensed, and if not, where I might actually be able to get a licensed copy from. Nativity sampler, the second of my Victoria sampler pieces. I don't think I've got the cover picture in there, bear with me. Started this a long time ago whilst Victoria sampler was still sending out specialty floss kits and all that kind of thing. Bear with me, there we go, that's loaded up. Oops. Yeah, 9th in the heirloom series. Expand at all for me? No. That's not work. That's not what I wanted you to do. That's that. It's got the hard angle, the cut stuff at the bottom. I'll be honest, I'm truly not sure I've got the nerve or the skill to stitch something this big, put all that time and effort into it, and then risk cutting it. So if I ever did finish this, I probably won't do the hard angle at the bottom because that just scares the living wits out of me, and I'm not sure I would need it enough. I think I love the pattern as it is. Pattern on its own would be more than enough for me without worrying about the cutting. Peony Fairy, which I think is a Joan Elliott. Have everything but... Oh, no, there we go. Bright, colourful, lots of pinks and blues. Lovely. Very detailed. Not entirely sure which way up this is. I think it's that way. Yeah, reasonable start on that. Again, started last summer in the really crazy time. So I look back now on that starting all the things period with a degree of horror, if I'm honest. So yeah, that's that. June Cat, which is one of the Kitty and Me Pamela Kellogg mandala designs. Not got that, not got a picture of that in here. June Cat, Kitty, and yeah, that one. Love all of these. Saw this, I think, a couple of years back when Sarah Stitching Mummy was stitching them and starting one each month. Fell in love with those then. This is on a particularly sparkly piece of material. Yeah, not entirely sure which way up this is, but there's just a chunk of black for the cat on that. So again, not a huge amount to see. There's that, and I think we're just down to one more now, and one more beyond my focus pieces, and this is an absolute monster that I've struggled to wrangle. So again, years back, I did a blanket for my eldest son, big Afghan blanket for my eldest son. Having done one for him, obviously I need to do one for my youngest. So I've chosen the Stony Creek Christmas Village Afghan. It's not a great picture of it. It's all crumpled and creased. I don't know whether that shows it to you any better on the back. This is huge, and if I were to do it again, I'd probably get a smaller piece of material, because I'm not even sure I'm going to get this in screen for you, which is a little frustrating. Take this right back. I'm probably not going to be able to get this whole thing in, but I'll give you an idea of where it's at. So all the border down there, and then the pages across the top, and the holly, and then working at this point on the border on the other side. It's monstrous. He'll be at university by the time it's finished. Yeah, what can I say? It's a lovely stitch. It's 20 count, but it's 2 over 2 on 20 count. I wish I'd started it 2 over 1. I've just taken the size down. So, and that is that second cube emptied. As I say, there was one more full coverage that I missed the other day, so I'll quickly bring that up for you. It's the new hotly awaited Heaven and Earth Designs Cat's Library. I knew I was going to get it from the moment the Dog's Library came out. I don't have the Dog's Library, that's not really my bag. I'm much more of a cat person, but the moment I knew there was the Cat's Library coming out, I knew I was going to get it. It's on there for those of you who haven't seen it. So I started this last week, and I have to confess, this actually, although I love it as a project, this actually was the full coverage start that tipped the odds for me, and just left me thinking I really have to stop starting things and actually start stitching on everything. There's that. I think there's 220 stitches. It's currently saying, I'm stitching it on markup RXP, and it was currently saying that on the day I did those stitches that I would finish it in 2035, which is slightly ridiculous. It's probably gone backwards quite a few years from there, because I haven't stitched on it since. So it really was the project that made me think, yeah, I need to do something about this. So that's the second cube and the leftover full coverage project. I'm going to grab the 3 things that I've got in my rotation at the moment and show you them, because they're very much my focus projects. So I'll show you then. That concludes the WIP Parade. As I say, I do have a full coverage wheel, because I'd like to bring in one more full coverage piece and stitch on it for a target number of stitches. No, not necessarily a time deadline, no pressure on it time-wise, but say, right, I'm going to choose this piece, I'm going to stitch probably either 5,000 or 10,000 stitches in it, and then I'll cycle it out and choose something new. But I'm probably, as I say, I've got my full coverage projects on a wheel, so I'm probably going to spin 3 options on here with you, highlight those, and then ask people in the comments to choose. So bear with me, I'll get my 3 current projects and we'll go from there. Right, here we go, back one last time. Now, these are the 3 projects that are in the sitting room with me on the side each evening for working on. First and foremost, a piece that I had my eye on for ages, fell in love with, finally gave in and started, and I'm just loving every stitch. And that was the Leela Studio Peace on Earth Quaker, the winter, the winter stroke Christmas Quaker design. Absolutely loving this. I'm on page 4 of 12 at the moment. I'm not going to take it out of the nurture hoop because I've got it exactly where I want it right now. But I am in love with stitching on this piece. It's beautiful. The colours are lovely. It's easy evening stitching, because it tends to be chunks of colours rather than constantly changing. That's sat with me, as I say, in the sitting room for nightly stitching. My aim is, lots of people talk about having birthday starts. My consideration was whether I could have a birthday finish, which would be in the first week of June. I don't know that I'm going to quite make that. I'm not going to pressurise myself too much for it, but I'm going to see if I can make it a birthday finish, at least in my birthday month. Second on the rack is the stocking for my youngest. My eldest has a stitched Christmas stocking, so my youngest needs one as well. This is the Enchanted Reindeer stocking by Heaven and Earth Designs, and I am targeting a finish by the middle of November this year for this one, so that I can have it stitched and ready for him for Christmas. That's currently, I think, requires me to put 197 stitches in it a day. Holding steady so far. That's that. Working it reasonably diligently in the diagonal, but moving sometimes, going up and down. As you can see, I've gone up and down to get into the green of the background sometimes, because the reindeers and the reindeer's ear, whilst lovely to stitch, are a little bit of a confetti nightmare. And sometimes I'm just in the mood for grabbing a skein of the green and a strand of the green and just stitching that in. And then my final focus, and this is one of the smalls that I've got, is one of the Pattern of the Month series from the Stony Creek collection. This is the family series. This is part 1. Family is love. There's 6 of them. Probably I'm stitching them individually and then going to put them, probably find a frame for them. Let's say still in the nudge hoop. There's virtually nothing above the F that you can't see, and that's where I'm at on that one at the moment. And my aim is, in the interests of clearing down some of my stash alongside some of my WIPs, is to finish this one fairly quickly if I can, and then move on to the rest of the letters in that, and always have a small project on the go. So that's my WIP Parade, second part of the WIP Parade. If you're still with me, thank you, well done. What I'm going to do from here, I want to probably going to look to come back once a month or so. As you can see, I'm not stitching on a huge number of projects at the moment, because I'm really trying to prioritise progress, and in these 3 cases, finishes. So I think if I come back sort of once a month or so, then I should have decent progress to show you on 3 or 4 projects, rather than just saying, right, here's a week's progress on one piece, which probably isn't really worthy of a video at this point. As I say, I've got a lot of full coverage pieces, and I do want to get some of them into the focus as well. So what I'm going to do now, and we will run it on the Tiny Decisions app, I'm going to roll 3 of my current full coverage WIPs, and I will show them to you. And what I'd ask you to do, if you're interested, is put your thoughts in the comment as to which one I should bring in and focus on in my rotation next. I will take a poll on that in a week or so's time, see where we're at, and whichever one is the winner, I will bring out and stitch on, as I say, either for 5 or 10,000 stitches. Not quite sure which way I'll go on the number, but I'll choose one of those 2 numbers, stitch on it until I've got those in, and then we'll do another spin and go from there. So I've got the Tiny Decisions wheel here with all my 39 of these, I think it said. So if we spin that once, let's see what we get. Deer Creek, I will dig out pictures of these in a moment. Deer Creek, which is the Heaven and Earth Designs, which actually is the stocking that I've started for my husband. So that's one of the options. I think second time round. That's actually not an active one at the moment. Let's ignore that for now, sorry. What does that say? Glowstone Portal, one of the 6 portals from Rose Catherine Kahn, Pain Free Crafts. And if we go for the 3rd one, Elephant Bliss, which is the Gecko Rouge elephant I'm doing for my eldest. So let's just quickly pull up each of these. So the stocking for Deer Creek is that one, Heaven and Earth Designs. Pain Free Craft, Glowstone Portal, Glowstone City is that one. And then Gecko Rouge elephant. Elephant Bliss, charted by Gecko Rouge, artwork by Sophie Kilpatrick, if my Wi-Fi will work with me here, which I may or may not do. No, it's not. Okay, and that's that one. So let me know in the comments below which one of those three you think I should take as my priority, my focus for the next batch of stitches. Thank you again for all the support, the comments, the likes, the subscriptions on the channel. It's really is a lovely community, and I've always had this thought to try and do floss tube videos and be a part of it. So thank you all so much for the welcome and the positive and the constructive feedback. Enjoy your stitching, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will be back shortly.